Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth. Hello folks, welcome to Crosstalk. And as the title suggests, Crosstalk is about the only debate on TV that looks at two hard sides to a particular subject matter. The idea is not to win the debate, but to lay your arguments for the benefit of the viewer. Today, the talking point or the question is a straightforward: should the president or governor in my country be a degree holder? Should the president or a governor in my country be a degree holder? Let's go there. Now, this is Crosstalk, and of course, what do we have here? We're raising two sides to a raging issue and put to rest if it truly turns out to be so. Well, the question is, how educated should a Nigerian president be? Or more than that, how far educated should that president be? Some lawmakers say the minimum should be a bachelor's degree, although for now, qualification for the position is no more than a school certificate or its equivalent. And so on Crosstalk, it always comes down to a yes or a no situation between the combatants, who today are Barrister Evans Ofeli and Cyril Abaku. Welcome to the tough. Barrister Ofeli, I greet you.
Thank you.
And Abaku, welcome.
My pleasure.
Good. The subject matter is very straightforward. Should my number one citizen, my president, or for that matter, my governor, be a degree holder? Must he be?
He must not be.
Good. Barrister Ofeli?
He should be.
Let's start from he must not be.
Nigeria began its experiment with independence, with self-rule, as it were, October 1, 1960, with a prime minister who didn't have a degree. But all over the world, and to this day, he was called the Golden Voice of Africa. He was brilliant, he was intellectual. He stood out in the Committee of Nations.
He was schooled.
He was thoroughly schooled.
Yeah.
He was personally educated. And it reflected in the way he delivered in his role and capacity as Prime Minister of Nigeria. As a matter of fact, he is the first and only Prime Minister Nigeria has to this day. And he did conduct himself very, very
Creditably, yeah.
As a matter of fact, there is this famous and popular clip on YouTube regarding his visit to the US in 1961, I think August of that year. In order to see the respect was accorded and the way and manner in which I literally crammed those lines, the way and manner in which he thanked them for the invitation to visit the US.
Yeah.
And so this was Nigeria's golden era. This was the time when Nigeria was respected around the world. But what do we have today? We've had a PhD holder as president. We've had people who were supposedly educated, and yet very little or nothing to show for it. In fact, those who were supposedly educated, who the value of education up to degree level, are the ones who appear to have done the more disservice to education as sector in the economy. So one wonders why we have this fastidious penchant to cleave to certification.
Certification,
yes,
yeah.
We are a certificated country. We learn to show for it. Pushing this to the presidency or governorship, for me, it looks like a joke taken too far.
Makes you think we are paying the price for being too heavily certificated.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Barrister Ofeli, you don't agree with that?
No, I don't agree. The reference he made to the first Prime Minister of Nigeria, first and only Prime Minister in Nigeria, he may not have had a degree, but he was certificated. Now, certificated in the sense that he had a teacher training, TC2, they call it in those days. It's not a degree. But if you reasonably understand the content of what it was to have that at the time, it's even bigger than a degree today. Okay, so he couldn't have, explore that way and succeeded in that margin if it were not that he had education, or if it were not that he was schooled. So maybe something is in between the gap here. maybe there is what you call a degree without education, and maybe there's something we should call a degree with education. Sometimes they tell you that when you go to school, let the school pass through you as you pass through the school. Okay. That what is forbidden is for you to pass through the school, but you're not allowed the school to pass through you. Now, we've had leaders today who have degrees. You see the danger of arguing that a president or a governor need not have a degree. The danger in that is the likes of the president thrown up by that ideology, that's President Buhari, who in 8 years reduced Nigeria to fabrics as a result of his lack of cohesion, intellectual cohesion, to lead a country in the way it should go.
Or for that matter, understand the dynamics.
Yes, understand the dynamics and having a 360 degree of what the problems were, how to address them, and how to... He didn't know the technical know-how. He doesn't have the technical know-how.
Yeah, but is it necessarily punctuating what you're saying? If I cite the case of Robert Gabriel Mugabe, in his time, the most certificated president on the planet.
In the
What
world.
he messed the table up.
Yes, you see, it's not certificate or degrees that will direct the projection of leadership or to solve the problems of the country. We are saying the degree should be a measure, an assumption of a measure of education. So, because if you leave it fallow, anybody, without or with or without, we may not be too lucky to find the likes of our former prime minister.
Okay.
So we were lucky at that stage, but it became a disservice to us when Buhari emerged. The same ideology became a curse to us when Buhari emerged. But in the past, we succeeded in having one who didn't have a degree but did well. Yeah. But now, the canvas became the case, so we could not. So it's difficult.
How do you reconcile cases of certificate forgeries, even up to the Supreme Court?
Yeah,
that's giving your argument now.
Certificate forgeries, I think, is a different topic entirely because.
Can we relate it here?
Yeah, we can relate it. It's part of why people go.
One or two governors in my country have had certificate wahala up to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And they were given clean bills of health.
That's because they had evidence to prove that they went to school. That's what I think. Because the court will act based on evidence. And if the court have acted the way there is, there's a presumption perhaps they went to school. But what I'm saying is that a president or a governor should have a degree as a measure, not as a hard cast. Not that if he have a degree, then he will succeed.
If the law is written to the effect that he should have a degree, then a degree he should have. But the question we even ask today is...
there's no debate about it.
There's no debate.
No, there's no...
And so the question to be asked today is, what is the value of a degree in Nigeria today? How do you get a Nigerian degree holder and go to bed with two eyes closed that this person has passed the test in character, in learning, in cognition, in intellectualism? You see, the likes of Tafawa Balewa grew up in a milieu where education was not just about going to school, where education was the self, where you had access to people. In fact, the political party you belong to was enough education, if you know what I mean.
And the environment.
And the environment.
Yeah.
Believe me, the same environment that threw up a Balewa in 1960 as prime minister with a TC2, as you call it, was the sort of environment that should have thrown up a Muhammadu Buhari today as a major general and could not understand basic issues of governance, for example. So the point is, what we need more is to create that environment in which we place value on education. Not necessarily that the person must have a BSc. We look at America, for example. The American economy is arranged in such a way that if you're talented, if you're gifted, almost immediately you can find expression for that gift. If you wanted to have a BSc or even master's degree, it explains even why Nigerians are the most certificated black group of foreign group of nationals in the US. Because what Nigerians do there,
I think that degree is
that
just
thing is just because we know that if you don't have that degree, you
it's just an evidence. That
you're
is
going to wallow poverty. My point is this: why have we skipped that environment? Why are we running into a space in which you have an SSC? It is not enough. You have a diploma. It is not. You know what a diploma is? A diploma is enough education anywhere in the world. Should be enough. For you to go as much as becoming a senior manager in a company. We had this thing in the 80s and even in the 70s. For you to have got a degree, it was like you had gone to the epoch of, education. If we came to your house, your parents would take your picture, snap it, and as a person would say, our child or son or daughter, now has a BSc, they call it the golden fleece. But today, I say get a degree holder. If you're not careful, the English they will construct for you will make you run a scam of a safety.
Okay, Barrister Feli, in this connection, are you able to second guess what the framers of the Constitution meant when they suggested that my country president or a country governor should not necessarily have passed the school certificate, but show evidence that he was educated to that point?
No, as at the time the Constitution was framed, as at the time that section was framed, that was about 1963. Today we have the 1999 Constitution as amended, but the importation of that was as a result of the standard. Yeah, the standard of what SSC was at the time. People joined the army with primary school certificate. I mean, cadet. In those days, so the standard then was so high that the Constitution couldn't have contemplated otherwise. Because how many graduates did we have in Nigeria as of 1963? There were few. They were not up to 100.
Very few,
So as at that time, it was a necessary thing. But when society began to devalue education, when the world started falling apart, okay, they need to take that conversation. Or because today, we have graduates that cannot even do what primary school holders did in the past.
Yes.
We have graduates that cannot write clearly. Whereas you have people who at primary school, they write in cursive and all that. So the level of intellectualism and intellection has broken down irretrievably. So if you say we should continue to sit on this SSCE thing at a time when the world has gone beyond all that, there's a risk. I'm not saying you cannot keep it that way. You can keep it that way, but the people that will emerge,
you will pay for it.
You will pay for it. That's what I'm saying. So let's have SSC as a measure. Sorry, let's have a BSc as a measure, as an evidence that you are schooled to this point, so that if anybody have to disprove what it is, it will be from that point of a degree holder. So because today, even what you call a degree today can be compared with what you call SSC at that time. So we might still be running around the same issue, saying the same thing with different tools.
Ufele, the bill was sponsored by Honorable Adewumi Onanuga of Ogun State.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, she represents Ikene, Salami, and Remo North Federal Constituency. And she was supported by Honorable Ihombere, and Ihombere Babajimi Benson Kingsley Chinda. And opposition came from Kano and Borno.
Yes, expectedly.
Why expected?
Especially because in that region, they are very political, but not many of them school to that level. Okay, not many of them school to that level. Even though you have enough graduates, there were not many of them. There was one at the house then, one of the lawmakers from the north then, the house, that couldn't communicate with the English language and wanted to switch to Hausa during plenary and was cautioned. The argument was even extended to the point where he argued that there is no law in the country that says you must speak the English language. And it was further cautioned that there's an official language and it's clear in the laws. Okay. So if we don't want to remain in that circle where we are going to find a lot of problems along the line if we don't upscale what it takes academically to be a president of a country. This country is too complex for you to allow the floodgates that it has to be SSC. Even when you say it's SSC, most people who aspire to that level, they don't even fill in the SSC. They go further to prove to you that they have a degree. The likes of what happened to the current president and others who had SSC, but they chose to put their degree as submitted to INEC.
There are people who, for no fault of theirs, were not able to access a degree. They are sound, they prove themselves in business, they become captains of industry, they become entrepreneurs. If you wanted to calibrate Nigeria's wealthy, they would easily be top of the pack. They've distinguished themselves in several endeavors. They have the charisma, they have the knowledge, they have the know-how, they have the network across the country. They can build bridges. They understand what Nigerians want. Ronald Reagan, for example, as American president, was a film actor before he became before he made the plunge to become governor of California and later president of the United States of America. It was his vision and charisma that led to the collapse of the Berlin Wall.
That's one positive case.
Yes.
Can that case be correlated or reference to Buhari as a person who didn't have?
It varies from person to person, environment to environment.
If you look at Buhari's own case, how does a man who is a major general not passively come across as someone who already has a master's degree? Really, the Nigerian army.
It's supposed to be its equivalent.
Yeah, so in reality, when people come and say they have certificate, we saw it again in 2005 when the president had experts and people who distinguished economists, philosophers, thinkers, political scientists on his cabinet, and people are saying, you people are talking figures, give these reforms a human face. Nigerians could not connect what was going on, but we kept on hearing them saying banks are recapitalized. One of the dangers of intellectualism is that people begin to speak over people's heads because they can't connect. Whereas if you pick a man who, like I was saying, maybe he was not able to access university, but he understands issues. And he has distinguished himself in business. If such a man offered himself up for office, he can deliver. The Buhari case that we keep on citing, Buhari's own case was Nigeria's undoing, because how can somebody who didn't have any distinguished service record in the army, who had 50 cattle for 30-something years, he couldn't multiply them, whose only reference to being president was because he was poor and cannot reproduce wealth. Buhari came into office and reproduced the person he was. But in a proper election season, Nigerians are traveling and saying...
So in order not to run the danger of, to run into that risk in future, there's a need for us to measure. People like him should be disqualified when you have a law. It will prevent people like Buhari and his likes.
But it's not the issue of the law. I think it was the issue of his character. Because leadership primarily thrives on character before you talk of other qualities. The character to have empathy, the character to feel people's pulse, the character to understand.
Education plays a role
to give room for inclusion.
Education plays a role in character building.
It does, but
that is why before you are graduated, they will ask whether you are fit in character and learning.
But is there a guarantee?
So, no, it may not be a guarantee, but it plays a role. You see, education also allows, by the time you are well schooled.
Sorry.
It gives you.
Are we talking education here?
Or schooling.
Or
degree.
Certification.
Degree.
Or certificate. Okay.
Degree. We are talking about
at least the first degree.
The first degree. But I'm saying education plays a role. You are set at the broad way of education before you are given a degree. In other words, a degree is a means, okay, to you getting. Education is a means to you getting a certification.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but now, if there is no evidence in any way whatsoever that you are schooled up to a first degree, it's too much a risk in this time when you don't have a second chance to allow people to go in filter resources and all that. That is not to say those who have degrees do not filter resources too. But I'm saying that let's have a measure of what we are doing. Let's not The SSC is no longer enough.
Just a minute. See, what we're saying is this insistence on paper qualifications, degrees, has given rise to degree, forgery.
Yes.
A sub-industry of forgers and massive forgeries.
Yes.
Such that if you checked out your parliament, checked out the Senate, checked out House of Reps, checked out governors, council chairmen, and so on, you'll be a country in which a president's advisor on prosecution and anti-corruption was accused of forging his SSC certificate, and he was told to go and see no more.
Okay, let's go on this break. The viewer must understand that we're looking at a germane issue here. Probes the question, or provokes the question, should the president or the governor in my country be a degree holder? The combatants are Barrister Evans Ofeli and Cyril Abaku. We'll return after the break. Please stay.
Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Okay then, welcome back. And the question remains, should the president or the governor be a degree holder? Let's go back there. Gentlemen, what about this situation? The Nigerian condition keeps throwing up these politicians every time. Aren't we in a quandary?
We're in a quandary because we are placing too much emphasis on certification. I'll give a few names. Anthony Nahuru, I'm not sure if he was a...
No, he was not. No.
When he became editor...
Yeah, but he was a frontline journalist.
...of the West African Pilot, if my history serves me right. And we can
perhaps only the late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was the graduate.
Exactly. So, and we can go on and on and on. In the background, my argument is, let us go back and fix our education as a country. You'll be amazed that without having to bag a degree, you would have developed a human capital to a point where you can deliver the goods, as it were, at any level. If you're educated up to an FSLC, you do well.
Seriously, just a minute. The father of the late Emeka Odumengo Ojukwu,
Yes.
Sir Louis Odumengo Ojukwu, was not a degree holder, but he was the first president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Not only that, he was a smart, savvy businessman who built wealth that today is put at nearly 5 or 6 billion pounds.
Yes, yes.
Okay. The story even went as far as saying that when the Queen of England visited Nigeria, she rode in his Rolls Royce.
Yeah, yeah.
So why are we not focusing on building men of character, building men of competence, building men of courage, other than to say that a degree?
Hold on. That is what
the Nigerian education system today is dysfunctional.
That is what the schools are meant to do.
Which we are not doing today.
Now hold on. When you say why don't we focus on men of character and all, that's why we establish universities. Now, what is a university? The simple meaning of university means universal knowledge.
In Nigeria today?
No, that's what we mean all over the world.
In Nigeria today?
That is why when you get to university for your first and second year, you do what we call GNS, General Studies. That have nothing to do with your primary. It's like your minors.
Discipline.
Now, that one now teaches you a wide range of other areas. Then as you go forward, you streamline to your course of study. You understand? So that is the intention of that is that by the time you go through that, you build character and capacity. Okay, most of the people who are mentioned here that will say they are not schooled, we don't have the full information about them. Well, most of these are being assumption.
No, not that they were not schooled. They were not degree holders.
They were not degree holders. They were not degree holders. You see, that is why the Constitution made allowance for SSC or its equivalent. You understand? If you don't have a degree, you could have something bigger than a degree. That's what you're saying. But I'm saying that a degree is a measure. It's like the evidence to measure that you have capacity. That is a presumption. So for you to say that the universities are deliberately not building men of character, that may not be true. The system may have been, corrupted or truncated to not meet its original objective. Does not mean there's a consciousness that university education must make people not to be competent.
No. What I meant, just a minute. You agree that we dropped the ball somewhere.
Yes.
In this connection.
Yes.
Because foreign students used to come here to read.
To read, yes.
And pay money, boosting our economy. But it's no longer there.
Yes.
It's no longer there. So, but this is not to diminish the character of Abaku, the character of people like Aminu Kano, who were thoroughbred professional politicians, Abubakar Rimi, Balarabe Musa. The list is endless. But these days, the society, this same society, throws up these new age, these millennium politicians that are messing us up.
Now, if you look at the psychology of the Nigerian society, we are people who love to thrive at what we do. We love to thrive in difficulty, we will thrive in want and plenty. We still give it our best. When they say, well, they carry last, it's not just what, it's the Nigerian spirit.
Yeah.
We like to fight and fight and fight. Now, the Nigerian man has come to realize that no matter how he fights and pushes, if he does not have a degree, he's not going to fight. This is the reason why people who normally can galvanize the vote in the democracy are forging certificates. The other day it came out that from a school, from a state university, from LASU, all right? There was a certificate buying spree. We also had up to something universities operating in Nigeria, we adjust the certificate distribution industry to the highest bidder. Okay? And I said before here that if you went to the House of Reps and Senate, you have the first speaker of the House of Reps in the Fourth Republic was ousted because of certificate issues.
Yeah.
But so if the person
he went back to school.
He did. So if there are people who ordinarily can win elections, okay, can galvanize, can mobilize, can levitate, can walk, can gravitate, can do things for social good and to push our civilization forward. But we still have to go and, if we can do the thing that we can naturally do, and yet because of what the law said, we still need to Ghana before the certificates just to make people believe that now we can really do what we think we can do.
It's a requirement.
I think that the focus should really be how can we draw men that can effect change for the country without having to go to the hassle of saying you must get.
You see,
hold on, sir, please hold on. When they say character and learning has to do with curriculum, academic activities. Character has to do with non extracurricular activities like sports, games, and things like that. In our universities today, how many sports facilities are working? How many of those things that can build character outside of the classroom are functional? So to now say this is the condition and to destroy the system that can build that condition is like killing is like killing somebody and putting the blame of the person death on the person who has died. Why don't we open this up and say, if you're distinguished, if we can see indeed, and you have what it takes to make the change, go to the people, seek your mandate, and come and rule.
Without requirements, we're not going to ever get anything meaningful from that. What we are saying is that there should be no requirement whatsoever to lead a country. It cannot work. Even the countries that have succeeded and the ones that are failing, there's a requirement for everything. Otherwise, you would have made it in such a way that young farmers and traders who have no capacity or character will flood that gate and use money to purchase it because they have resources. So do you know how many persons who wanted to be president just because they don't have SSC but they had money they could not? That gateway must be protected. The sanctity of leadership calls for the fact that people must have certain level of qualification, and that qualification must be legislated upon. When we have a legislation, in fact, we have to raise the bar today, because we've not even done anything better off with the standard we place already. So let's take it higher to ensure that those who will be thrown up by the system are people who we can measure, so that we don't have the likes of Buhari multiplying the likes of Buhari to come and lead us and then put us in. See where we are today. Where we are today is part of why we are discussing this today. And the person who is sponsoring that bill is doing that as a result of the hangover that Buhari gave this nation.
Yeah, okay.
So let us not have his likes any longer. Let's use legislation to whip them off.
Except Ufeli, the debate is not about Buhari.
Yeah, it's not about that, but it's a factor.
But do you see the bill coming back?
Of course, it was not thrown out now. It went to first reading.
No, it failed at the first reading.
It was objected.
thrown out.
It was objected at the first reading.
Yeah. Following a voice vote. So you think the bill will come back?
It could come back, but now my issue is, do we even mean well with this bill in the first place? Because
is it not a cue?
Well, the question is, do we mean well by leaving that in as SSC?
no,
we mean well for ourselves.
Because the reality is that this is why we are.
Cyril meant to ask, don't you think this is a distraction?
It's
Yes.
not.
Because
What of scale?
So the typical bills like this raise the bar for the president to be BSc. I remember that after Buhari won the election, the Patriots, you remember the Patriots, Professor Benham Brezena, Blessed Memory and Co. They came and said that, look, the benchmark for presidency should not be SSC, it should be BSc. I remember that this was 2015.
Even the police, they have raised it.
Yes, now
from SSC.
Yes,
some people argue I think to OMD.
But I'm going somewhere.
Let's raise these
Yes,
things.
but I'm going somewhere. The normal arguments are: one, unicameral legislation; two, they say part-time membership of parliament; number three, they will raise issues like raising the bar from SSC to BSc; then number four, they will talk about parliamentary movement instead of presidential, and these bills will never be passed. They are just talking points for analysts to be talking on TV, on radio. They just talk.
Creating talk points and
talk points and distractions for Nigeria.
Okay,
So
all right.
if you don't mean it, if you won't do it, if you don't even want it, why on it? Why in the first place are you even muting it in the first place?
all right.
No, you can't conclude that they don't mean it or they will not do it. It has to go through a process.
Gentlemen, we must go. Nobody was meant to win this debate here. Let the debate continue in your part of town, but then we've dropped it for you. Should the president or the governor be a degree holder, keep debating it until the next time. But here's a quotation I want to leave with you. The author is unknown. Education breeds confidence, confidence breeds hope, and hope breeds peace. I think it's a choice. I'm out of here, but not before thanking Barrister Evans Ufeli for his time.
You're welcome.
Cyril Abaku also for his time.
It's a pleasure.
Bye-bye now. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein on behalf of the Backroom Boys. Bye-bye now.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.